Well, welcome to the important role community colleges play in an innovative society. My name is Tyann Lee, and I am the campus president at Metropolitan Community College's Penn Valley campus. Am I talking loud enough? Okay. And with me, I have my dream team. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, to tell you a little bit about themselves. And then we have just a few questions I'm going to ask them that they don't know what I'm going to ask. And I might give you a little quiz, like a did you know about MCC. All right, I'm going to start with Mr. Marshall.
And good evening. I'm John Marshall. I serve as Vice President at MCC Penn Valley. And I have somewhat of a unique background in that I've worked all in community colleges in my career, but in St. Louis, so an urban environment, also in Minnesota, and then in eastern Kansas in a very rural and impoverished environment. And so I'm very proud to be at MCC with you today.
Good evening. My name is John Hudson, and I am the Director of Recruitment, Enrollment, and Business Development for our Workforce and Economic Development Division. I have been with MCC for 6 years, grew up in Kansas City. I have been in higher ed for about 18 years. And the work that I do with MCC, I find it to be so important. And there's so many things that I can't wait to share with you all.
Hello, I'm Jayla Walker. I'm the virtual hospital coordinator. I have the amazing opportunity to work at our simulation center at the virtual hospital. I have been with MCC, started part-time for about 3 years, working as an operator at the virtual hospital, running the simulators. And I am a nurse by background. I've been a nurse for 22 years. And I have currently been in this role as the coordinator at the Sim Center this is my 3rd year.
Good evening. I am Lisa Bray, and I'm the Interim Dean of Career and Technical Education and the Advanced Technical Skills Institute Site Administrator. I've been with MCC for 12 years. As many of you may know, our ATSI site is new to the area. We're very excited about it and the opportunities it's going to provide our local community. So if you have not been down there, I invite you to come, and I would be happy to give you a tour.
She's serious about those tours too. So if you really want to see the high tech that happens over there, please reach out to her. So Metropolitan Community College has 5 campuses. Did you all know that? Okay, so we have 5 campuses. See, this is why we're here. We have 5 campuses. We have the Penn Valley campus, which is 8 minutes away. Well, if you drive like I do, you can get here in 6. Then we have our Blue River campus, we have our Longview campus, we have our Maple Woods campus, which is up north, and then we have an online campus. Annually, we serve about 22,000 students. Our workforce program serves about 25,000 students that go through the programs that we have over there. We just embarked on a new strategic plan. It is until 2023, and one of 2031. Yes, 2031. That's a lot to say on a Wednesday at 5 something in the afternoon. But we just embarked on a new strategic plan, which has a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why? Because I just got a notification that at the Penn Valley campus, we have 324 African American male students. That's dismal. So there's a lot of work that we have to do, and we're hopeful that that strategic plan will help guide us in terms of where we need to go in order to meet the needs of the community, which is why we moved over on TRUCE, the Advanced Technical Skills Institute that Lisa mentioned earlier. So I'm going to start with Lisa. Can you talk to us about the innovative solutions we are working on to diversify our student enrollment?
So in the last few months, the Vice President, John, and I had a great opportunity. We met with some construction companies in the area that are owned by an Egyptian man and his wife. And then that's a smaller company. And then we have a larger company that is very interested in making sure that they are attracting a diversified employees. And so what we're looking at is this smaller construction company has also created a nonprofit to assist the immigrant population. And what we found by talking to him is that a lot of these immigrants come over with the skills, the trade skills to work in these industries, but they can't speak English. So we're looking at, we've started a lot of conversations with our ESL faculty. We've talked to some contractors that have some software, and we're going to try and create a program where we can embed an ESL program into our technical trades. And so it could take many forms. So we may do the language training prior to the trade training, or we may have an instructor, a bilingual instructor, or we may create an opportunity where we can create a co-requisite class where they're learning the English language, the vocabulary of the trade, so that they can be successful and go out and have a great career. Another thing that we're looking at is how do we reach out to uniquely abled individuals? One thing we're looking at is seeing if we can create a way to start programs with tabletop welding. So for those that have physical limitations or wheelchair bound, that could be an opportunity for them. So just trying to really tap into those ways, into the different ways that we can engage those individuals, tapping into our expertise around the college and the community. So I'm looking really forward to seeing how those play out.
So I have a follow-up question, and she doesn't know I'm going to ask this. Can you talk to us about the partnership we have with the high school that is over 70 miles from Kansas City? That's not a trick question. Okay, maybe it's 60. Okay, 50. Down by Blue River. Independence.
The high school.
Sim.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, that's ways that now I know where you're going with this. So we're looking at innovative ways to deliver our curriculum as well. So we have a National Science Foundation grant with our Computer Integrated Machining and Manufacturing program. And the goal of the grant is to reach rural communities with this type of training. So if you haven't been to ATSI, and I'm sure you're going to come down so I can give you a tour, you're going to see how cost prohibitive some of these labs can be because the equipment is very, very expensive. So this is a way for us to reach out to those schools. We train them on our equipment, and it enables them to have this opportunity that would not otherwise have. So what does this look like? We are partnered with Ray-Pec High School right now, and they have invested into some manual sim equipment, some machining equipment, and they have a teacher or a lab tech on site, of course, to ensure safety. But there are cameras installed in this lab, and then we have cameras installed in our lab at ATSI at 29th and Troost, and our instructors are teaching those students from our site on the manual operations. And then the students come in for the advanced classes. So the CNC classes, they'll be bussed in for that, and they complete a certificate at the end of their time in that class.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. So, Jayla, you're in the simulation lab, our virtual hospital, which is fully accredited. So can you talk about the innovation that occurs in our virtual hospital and how that is helping us prepare our occupational therapists, our EMS students who go out into the workforce?
Yes, I can. So yes, as you mentioned, we have different students that come. Our biggest group is the ADN nursing students. We have the LPN students, OTA, PTA, and EMS students that utilize our Sim Center. Have any of you guys been to our Sim Center? Do any of you guys know, have you ever seen a high fidelity simulator? Great. So as Lisa welcomed you, we would welcome tours as well, so you can get to know our facility. We have an amazing 10,000 square foot facility. We have 6 patient rooms set up, and we really strive to be just like the hospital. So the idea behind it is it's a really safe environment where students can go in there and, learn and have a safe, psychologically safe environment to learn. And so we have 17 high fidelity simulators. So we use 2 different brands of simulators. We have Gamard simulators and we have CAE Healthcare. So that's really a wide range of different culture diversity, ages. We have OB simulators that can birth a baby. We have pediatric simulators. We have, of course, adult simulators, just about everything. So yes, so that's how we use our technology to teach our students at the Sim Center.
Thank you. Now I have a, did you know the average age of a Metropolitan Community College student is 26.5? So we have a lot of adult learners that come back to school to either be retrained or to get certificates or just to get their basic education. So Mr. Hudson, as it relates to workforce and economic development, what type of innovation is happening within that division?
I have to say first, thank you for the question. It's a great question. One of the things that we're really focused on is being able to bring training into the community. I mean, let's look at like welding, for instance. What we do in workforce and economic development is mainly non-credit, but we can bring into any center a mobile welder, which is virtual, and we can train on that. And so we're using things like that that are portable, so we can bring training into the community. And the great thing is that you can still get a certification, and you can get a job. So that's one of the things that we're doing.
So you mentioned you all want to get into the community. What kind of conversations and programs have we thought about taking actually on the trucks that we're purchasing to go into the community to do those kind of trainings? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I certainly can. The great thing is that again, you're welding, but any other portable type of equipment, manufacturing equipment that might be smaller, that may be scaled down, we can have in those trucks. So again, if we come here and we have trainings, then we can set it up here. It could all be in the truck. If we have to go to a high school, we can do these things. It just depends. But yes, we are really looking into how we can really use all the technology that's out there so that we can get the training into the community.
Thank you. Mr. Marshall, Vice President. Can you talk to us about the instructional innovations that we're developing at MCC, more specifically at MCC Penn Valley?
Sure, absolutely. Today, there's a lot of questions about why should I attend college? Why should I do this? Google will train me, right? Meta will train me. Why do I need to do this? I can make $15 an hour with an associate's degree. I can make $15 without an associate's degree. And so students are asking the application question, how does this apply? So, it was very interesting to me. I put an email out to some of our faculty members through our division chairs and said, what are the innovations going on in mathematics? I almost had tears to my eyes because 2 hours later, I had 6 different replies of all these different innovative things. But the common thread through all of them is that we're meeting the students' needs by collaborating and talking about application. So for instance, in applied mathematics, or what we might call technical mathematics, the faculty members have met with our career and technical education faculty members to talk about, okay, in math, what are the specific skills that are needed in HVAC? What are the specific skills that are needed in welding? What are the specific skills that are needed in computer integrated machining? And then bringing those together, finding common threads, and bringing those to the classroom so that students can understand what the application is and do things that are meaningful for the job or the profession that I'm going after. A few other things that are just wonderful and innovative and engaging. I believe that we have to be a destination for students to come to. If I just want a liberal arts, and I notice it's even in me, just, right? But if I want a liberal arts education, why would I choose to come to MCC when I can sit in my pajamas and I can get the same coursework from the cheapest operation out there, right? And so how are we a destination? And sometimes I think of it as a lifestyle choice. I've come to a specific place, I've commuted to learn. And so engaging students in a very meaningful way is very, very helpful. One of the ways that we're doing this across the college is to create hybrid courses where students can learn online, view lectures, view demonstrations, view lab simulations, answer questions, do quizzes and tests before coming to class and working in the lab or having group discussions. But that human interaction, the face-to-face, but it's half the seat time. So I might have gone to a class on Tuesday, Thursday evenings. Now I'm looking at going to class on Tuesday evenings. And if I dedicate a little bit more time, I might be doing it in an 8-week format instead of a 16-week semester. I might be doing it in a 4-week format and stacking those different things together. Yes, we are still, unfortunately, on the agrarian calendar, but most of our students are not. And so how can we tailor our specific learning and to be a destination for the students so that they choose MCC? So all of these different types of things are going on. I can go more in depth, but and I'll just give you one more example. One of our instructors specifically is asking students to do hybrid, learn online, come to class, but the students are also creating videos. Do you remember back in your education where you're probably like me, that at some point, and I'll use math, we can use science, we can use English. Do you remember diagramming sentences? Right? But at some point in your life, in your education, you were asked to go to the chalkboard or the whiteboard and to do a math problem or to diagram a sentence. Well, students are being asked to do that through TikTok videos. Right? Let's do something different. Let's do something innovative. And so they post their videos or they share their videos with their classmates. And so it's no longer going to the chalkboard, but it's demonstrating that I can work a problem. Then coming to class for conversation so that we can all learn from each other. So those are just a few of the innovative ways that we're beginning to approach liberal arts education, but also bringing that into career and technical education. So.
Thank you for that. So we have a lot of students who test into the lower level math or who don't like math or who say they're afraid of math. So can you talk about, you briefly mentioned that in 2 hours you got a number of responses. So can you give us some examples of what those responses are so that, and then as it relates to how we actually engage students more to decrease that fear that they have for math?
Our faculty members are very interested in the co-requisite model, which briefly means in most of higher ed that it's a traditional course, but it has a little extra oomph to it in some way. The students are spending small group time before or after the traditional class because they need some brush up work, they need some preparation. We try to avoid the term remedial. That's an absolutely silly term. It's just that different people are in different places in their preparation, and how can we move folks forward in somewhat of a unified way, because there is value in learning as a group, but tailoring to the needs of individuals. So we're doing a lot of things presently in the co-requisite model, and we're thinking about completely going toward the co-requisite model and diminishing what used to be called, or still is called, developmental education or remedial education. So that's the primary way we're addressing students who need to brush their skills up just a little bit.
Thank you. Lisa, so you're the interim dean over career technical education, which is across the district. So can you talk about other innovative programs or ways that we're delivering education that is not on the Penn Valley campus, even though the Penn Valley campus is absolutely the best campus? But can you let's talk about some of the other campuses that we have and what innovation is occurring there.
Sure. So we have on our Longview campus, which is in the Lee Summit area, we have a fantastic auto technology institute, and it's actually expanding right now. So we used to do, it was just car repair, mechanical, and now we've expanded to offering collision repair. And then we're also working on developing the diesel side of that as well. They are developing that curriculum right now. We've got a lot of traction with that. I think those classes are filling up. We've got a lot of great faculty out there. Out on our Blue River campus, we have our Public Safety Institute. Thank you. PSI was coming to my mind. Where we have fire science and law enforcement. Again, great programs that they're tightly connected with the law enforcement and agencies and fire departments around the area. They of course produce students to go into that career field, but they also offer some continuing education for professionals that are already in that field. Up towards Maple Woods area, we have our Vet Tech program. They are top in the area. There's usually a waiting list to get into that program. I know I sat through their accreditation visit last year, and just the accolades that were thrown their way, because it is a very highly regarded program, and again, waiting list to get in and highly sought after.
Thank you. So Lisa mentioned institutes. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Centers of Excellence, but most community colleges have Centers of Excellence, and that's where they group like programs together. Well, here at MCC, our Centers of Excellence are our institutes. And so for the Health Sciences Institute, that's where all of our health programs are. For public safety, that's where the fire program is, and our law enforcement program. And then the vet up at Maplewood, they will have a agriculture business institute. So we are building out our models, but at Penn Valley, we have the most institutes. So we have the Francis Institute, which is for our early childhood education, where we actually train individuals to go into the early childhood field. Then we have our Brooks Institute, which is named after Alvin Brooks. So that's sort of like our social justice Institute. Then we have the Advanced Technical Skills Institute and the Health Sciences Institute. So we are actually the largest campus, but we are also the largest campus in size. I know, raise the roof, in size. And when we talk about simulation and how we train students, I'm gonna tell you a story. During COVID, I'm going off script, sorry. During COVID, our students couldn't go to clinical sites. Right. So that meant their education was being impacted. But because we had the virtual hospital, we were able to allow our students to still meet their clinical hours by doing the work in the virtual hospital, which is often unheard of, because we had some schools that didn't have a virtual hospital. Their students are now behind in their program. So Jayla, can you talk to us? I'm sorry, I'm coming to you next. Can you talk to us about how do we keep our technology, because technology changes and the simulations change. So how do you keep up with the different technologies that are coming out to make sure that our students stay ahead of what they're supposed to learn to be prepared to go out into the workforce?
Yes, absolutely. As you all know, technology is outdated the moment you open it from the box, right? and look at it. So it's very important that we keep up with the latest and greatest technology. So we are blessed to go to the International Meeting of Simulation for Healthcare, which is held annually, and it's also put on by who we get our accreditation boards through, the Society of Healthcare. So it's a really great opportunity for us to learn what's coming, what's new, what all do they have. At that conference this year, I was able to see Echo Mask, which we purchased 3 of them, which was really amazing because I think it's what actors probably use in movies. It's 3D mask, silicone. It can go over our simulators and give them a whole different look. So we purchased one that makes any simulator look like an older lady or an older male. And just goatee, facial, freckles, the whole thing. So that's really important though, because with us having a large fleet of older simulators, that gives us opportunity to give it a whole different look without purchasing a $100,000 simulator. We can still change it up. Another innovation we're looking into is the AV birthing simulator. So if you guys are familiar with the high fidelity simulator, it's just a 100-pound piece of machine that can do everything. The students can listen to heart, lung sounds, start IVs, do Foley catheterization, all the things. But it does have its limitations because, for instance, for childbirthing simulation, the simulator cannot get up and walk across the room, right? So they can't. They've tried, but they can't. So therefore, we found this new product at this conference, and it's really cool. It's an abdomen that you just strap on, and we put it on a trained actor. So we partner with UMKC. They provide, SPs, which are trained to portray a role that we hire them for. And so they will be able to, once we purchase this, we're working with grant funding now to purchase, but once we purchase this, they will be able to wear the abdomen and then actually birth a baby with an actress that can scream at them and have emotion more and walk and kick and, all the things. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's really cool. It's really cool though, but we call that our hybrid simulation. So our hybrid simulation, some of our sims have a high fidelity simulator, plus we hire an actor to come in, play the role of a mother, parent, father, to give it that realism, right, of talking to the family and explaining things.
I'm in that building all the time. I'm hoping I don't ever see the lady birthing the baby and walking around.
I'm going to invite you now.
I know you are. I know you are. I know you are. Thank you for sharing that story. So John, wait, I have 2 Johns up here. John Marshall. So you've been at MCC for maybe 100 days?
Yeah, I'm almost 6 months.
Almost.
Not quite.
So what has been an aha moment for you as it relates to the innovation that occurs at MCC?
The MCC is incredibly fortunate with resources, and that might be one of the realities of working in rural communities versus urban communities. We really are fortunate with resources, and I would say the simulation experience and our technology resources are just absolutely top notch. We haven't talked about the robotic welder. There are so many things where students can experience technology, do simulation exercises, but also do real time exercises as well to be prepared for the future and for the workforce. These are things that in my former life, students would have had to travel 6 or 8 hours to be able to do. And so we are very, very fortunate, and we need all of our students to take advantage of our wonderful resources.
Well, you brought up robotics, and I was going to jump back to Lisa to have her talk about the robotics that's actually in the Advanced Technical Skills Institute and what program that is used for. And then if we're thinking about expanding it, what would that look like?
So the robotics class is part of our industrial technology program, and that's going to be where anybody who wants to be an electrician or work in mechanical maintenance within a manufacturing plant, that might be the direction they would go. So we train on FANUC robots, and we have 2 instructors right now that are being trained to become certified FANUC trainers. And why that is significant is because then we can train people outside of our students as well that want that FANUC certification. You know, one thing that is crucial to our CTE programs is our advisory boards. And we work very closely with them to make sure that we are graduating students that are trained with relevant skills, right? We want them to come out with relevant skills. And one area that we are really strongly interacting with our advisory board right now is in industrial technology. And the reason why is because that area is shifting. Everything is becoming more and more automated. And this is where the robotics come in. So, you know, for example, this may not mean a lot to you if you don't know the field, but we have an electrical troubleshooting lab, and there's a portion of that we want to begin combining with our robots, so that the students, when they go through these robotic trainings, they are really experiencing what it is like to be in a manufacturing plant. The robotic welder that John mentioned, that's where industrial technology meets welding. So in industrial technology, they're learning how to program those robotic welders that are in the manufacturing plants. So that is one area that we're really looking at right now. And, you know, robotics really could be taken across any of these programs in some way, shape, or form.
Thank you. So I'll give you all each 1 minute or less to talk about, if you could have your dream cost efficient, innovative program within your areas. So John, yours will be student services. John. So can you talk about in 1 minute or less what that would be, and how that impacts the community college and the work that we do, and then how it ties to the mission of MCC? I know that's a whole loaded question. You all weren't ready for that, but I'm gonna give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. So who wants to go first?
I'll try and tackle.
Don't start with me.
I'll try and tackle that, but some grace here. So where my mind goes is we have to understand that education is shifting. John referred to it earlier, and we've got to flex with that, right? We've got to be able to meet our students where they are. You know, our mission statement is preparing students, serving communities, and creating opportunities for all. And so to do that, we have to shift the ways that we deliver curriculum sometimes. And so in my perfect world, we would have a very compressed schedule that would assist non-traditional students. So those that have a family to support, for those that work full-time, for those that have a longer commute, for those that have financial responsibilities where there is no way they could ever be a full-time student. But we provide a way that is efficient and effective for them to get through our programs.
Well, who wants to go next? Okay.
So I think in a perfect world, as we're looking towards the future, we understand the role that technology is playing, and it's changing so fast. For me, I think Dr. Lee had mentioned the tractor trailers earlier, and you know, the technology around augmented reality, where literally you can train on anything, right, and learn the skill that you need. And we also go out and we do corporate training, and to be able to have a headset on that's taught by, you know, the information is uploaded by an instructor, and for you to see a manual, right, as you're going through these processes, right, of learning. And then at the end of that, you have the manual, but you have the experience, because for you, if you've ever dealt with virtual reality, or which is really awesome, you really get that experience, and you get the feeling as though you're doing it. And to be able to do that means that instead of us, even with an 18-wheeler, right, we might be able to have 10 different pieces of equipment on there. Well, with virtual reality or augmented reality, I might have 20, where people are actually learning, and they're learning in a format that now they have become accustomed to. Me personally, not so much, but a lot of people, that's how they learn, that's how they get their information. And that's what, when I think about a perfect, and it's not like we're not moving there. This is not a dream, right? These are these are conversations that are happening, so that we can make sure that we are leading the way. So when it talks about, serving your community, you did say a minute, didn't you? I just thought about that.
I'm coming to you.
Okay, well, when you're talking about serving your community, I think we are invested in getting the technology that's going to serve our community. And most important, the service is to upskill you where you get a great job, right? A great career, I should say, as opposed to just a job that you go to that you enjoy. So that's what I would do.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So as far as our students, of course, to kind of piggyback what you guys already said, is to get more and more opportunities for students, more students to come, more students to learn, right? So we are in the works of getting respiratory therapy at MCC, if I can say that. So that will be great to get those students in there with more learning opportunities. And another little plug is we also, since we have such fabulous facilities that I can brag about here, that we do outside rentals. So if you guys have a company per se that you want to use simulation to train in a safe environment your employees, you can reach out to us and we can set up, a scenario where we help you, or, develop curriculum for you. And then you can learn from at our fabulous facility with our fabulous equipment, and we take care of the maintenance, and we take care of how to run it, and we take care of all the staffing needs. So that is something that we offer, that we would continue to offer.
Thank you.
If we were designing the perfect college, and I've actually used that phrase several times in my career, I'm going to play off of what my colleagues have said and share that, like John said, it's not that we're not working on this, and it's not that we're not getting close, but we're not there yet. And that is that our community members and our students know and understand the resources that are available. And I'm going to share with you what I mean. But, we're even challenged. We're such a large institution. We're challenged with our employees knowing all the resources that are available. It's communication. People are messy, and we're trying to tailor an educational experience to every student, because everyone is important and everyone is welcome. And so that takes a lot of time, and it's really difficult. What I'm specifically thinking about are the different times that students stop out, which we really haven't talked about, where students are starting on their program. They may have a program, they may not, they may just be taking some courses. Well, that's work they have to do too, that everybody has a plan. But a student stops out, and a student might stop out, and these are all real examples from my less than 6 months with the college. So a student might stop out because he had a flat tire, and he doesn't have money to replace that tire. A student might stop out because she needs childcare and she doesn't know how to pay for that childcare. And 4 weeks into the semester, she was going to drop out. A student may stop out, believe it or not, on the first day. I encountered a student in the parking lot who was frightened to come in the building. Literally, it's a big, imposing brick building. And she was very frightened to come in the building. So I went in the building and I found an individual that I perceived she could relate to because she was paralyzed. And we got that student to class. But there are all sorts of barriers that students encounter. We have an emergency student fund. We could buy that attire and help that student continue. But do all our employees realize that? Maybe. But do we think about that? Right? So in designing a perfect college, that we wrap our network of support around each student and that we're successful in doing that. So that would be one of the things that I would like to try to work for.
Well, thank you all. I'm going to open it up to the audience and see if they have questions for us. Any questions? We were just that stellar, huh? I know we were. Not a question. Okay, so you need the microphone?
Yes. So, okay, I won't. I'm really interested in how you all are inputting yourselves into the community, right? And so, like, what does that type of program look like? How does someone engage somebody coming to, maybe Keystone or going into a neighborhood? And then I think more so it's like, how do we make it a consistent thing, right? Because although it's not a certificate that they get at the end, you still have to have consistency in the learning to make sure that the upskilling is happening. I have a lot with that, just like, and how you identify it, you know what I mean? And those types of things, because when you think about the evolving workforce and the addition to AI technology, I think it said that in the next few years, like the assembly worker is no longer going to be the same assembly worker that they are today. And so how do you get those hundreds and hundreds of GM workers who might not understand that their job is evolving, to engage with them and ensure that they're getting the skilled up opportunities to be able to, continue their job?
The two Johns can answer that question. John and John, which one's going first?
Again, I think that's a great question, by the way. What we do, let's start with the community. We are having listening sessions. And we're going into the community. We're going into neighborhoods, finding out what it is that they want. What kind of training are they looking for the people that are there? And the great thing is that we have capabilities, especially on the non-credit side, to create programs quickly. So we're doing that neighborhood by neighborhood. And then we're also working with the nonprofits, right? We have ambassadors. And so all of the people in which they work for, that they help, we have a connection to. Because we want to make sure, again, that as many people as we can touch, I wish I could touch every single person in our 9-county service area, and that's really the goal, is to do that. But we have to take one bite at a time. And so as far as community, that's what we're doing in the community, right? And then we go out, we have a partnership with Community America, where they have a space off Blue Ridge Boulevard that we're going to be able to have training at that space. And it's going to be dedicated to that. As far as, like you said, you mentioned about businesses and corporations, the great thing is that we have great relationships with businesses. We're talking to them all the time about what are your needs, not just now, but 5 years from now. What do you see coming down the pipeline? We do our own research. We do our market research. What are the changes that are happening, right? Because again, we want to make sure that we are on the cutting edge, that we're giving people what they need so they can have a they can make a living, a sustainable living, right? And so that requires that we're dealing with the neighborhoods, that we're dealing with our community partners, and that we're dealing with companies.
One of the ways we're reaching out into the communities is of course, working with our school districts. And community colleges do that very, very well. You'll see us, we're engaged now, but you'll see us at the remainder of this year and certainly next year, ramping up our interaction with Kansas City Public Schools, ramping up our interaction with our charter schools that surround us. John's responsibilities are more district-wide. Mine are more the urban core around Penn Valley. But we've also had meetings and are developing programs with school districts such as Blue Springs School District, because while they're to our east and they are in the Blue River area for the community college, the programs that the students are interested are the purview of Penn Valley because they're from the Health Sciences Institute. So I'm making trips out there. Right now we're doing some things with our school districts that are course by course. I would like to encourage that we're doing things a little bit in the sophomore, but certain preparation, but certainly in the junior and senior year of high school, so that when students leave secondary school, they have their diploma, but they also have a certificate. And then my goal is that they would want to come to MCC, either in person or virtually, for one more year to earn their associates. Right? Because we want them interacting with our campuses. But we're working on those programs right now, but it is certainly a part of our endeavor within the community. So,
Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything?
I just want to add one thing regarding reaching out to the companies. So we have a fantastic apprenticeship program, and they work with approximately 20 companies. And what does that look like? They are helping those companies develop their on-site training program. So they have the OJD component and then the technical training. And a lot of those students are embedded into our regular programs.
and we have a very successful program called Working Wednesdays, where businesses throughout our communities come to our campuses, set up booths and tables in the hallways, and recruit students to be employees. What is wonderful about that is that our employers are recruiting our students. What makes me uncomfortable about that is we want them to finish their programs as well, right? And so how can we all work together in doing that? But we certainly are welcoming. It's incredible. Please find out on our calendar. Come over during Working Wednesdays. It is incredible to see.
You have one more thing?
I just have one more thing.
Okay.
I know we have exactly 5 minutes. All I want to talk about is understand that we are one MCC. And regardless of where you start, there's a pathway to get you where you need to be and where you want to be. And that is our goal, is to get you, the individual, the training, the certificate, the degree that's going to get you where you want to be.
Well, that's a good way to conclude our session. Thank you. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening after a Wednesday of Wednesdays. I want to thank you for inviting us. And you know, innovation at community colleges spans the spectrum. But here at Metropolitan Community College, we are here to serve our community, to ensure that we meet those who often don't know that they can get a better education, to have a better lifestyle. So we thank you for allowing us to come and share the innovation that's occurring at Metropolitan Community College.